new drama with Iran. So Iran was basically having an issue with multiple U.S. Based attacks or violations that were there, skirmishes they were having. I wouldn't say military skirmishes, but like kind of flashpoints of conflict where we had the Japanese ship that was attacked.
Uh, there was yes, it was attacked, but we don't know by what exactly. The Japanese company claims it was a projectile shot at it. The U.S. intelligence agencies are claiming it was an Iranian military fraction that placed the mine on the bottom, but there's conflicting information.
And also, United States broke the deal with the Iranian nuclear agreement. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, we lost audio. We lost video. We're right back. Okay, and we're back. Sorry. And then just going back into it. So let's break down the major kind of points of flashpoint of kind of conflict that happened where United States broke the Iran deal. United States claimed part of the military of Iran was a terrorist organization. And then there was the issue with the UAV that flew over Iran that Iran shot down, which was like 100 million plus UAV that Iran felt it was in the right to shoot down. There's conflict over that.
The most important thing is Rouhani has said that he will begin enrichment of the uranium at higher levels now.
So who's Rouhani? President Rouhani.
Yes. Of Iran, yeah. And that's the big deal. But again, the funny part about that part is that the media is making it seem like a big deal, but it really shouldn't be because the U.S. has already said it's not complying with it. So why should the Iranians do it on their end too? It doesn't make sense for them to hold up their end of the bargain.
So basically, this is just a huge backtrack of all the work and progress that was made under the Obama administration of decreasing tensions between the United States and Iran. For a brief moment of time, people were allowed to actually travel and meet their families after decades, and this was going in a great progress. And now we're all the way back to the days of where we're scared for Iran and their ability to strike Israel because they're developing nuclear weapons. This is the whole nexus point of it. It's all about nuclear weapons and the threat that Iran faces as a nuclear state, becoming a nuclear state and attacking a country like Israel or their neighbors.
But now here's the new tensions and drama that's currently going on right now. So this one's a little complicated, so bear with us. There's a lot of players and variables involved.
And I'll try to, have Lamar kind of streamline this because he backfills information after he's told you something. So I'll try to fix that.
So Spanish supertanker is delivering oil from Iran to Syria. On its way from Iran to Syria, the ship is seized by representatives of the EU. On request by the United States. And the reason for this is kind of complicated for why this ship is actually seized. Because as we mentioned, many people are not following the Iran deal anymore. And part of the Iran deal is that they would lift sanctions on Iran and allow Iran to trade oil. And obviously we know the U.S. is not following that, and neither is Iran. But for some reason, the members of the EU are still allowing for trade to go on. They haven't placed the sanctions back on Iran. So oil is totally okay to trade.
Basically, Iran was able to trade oil. They shouldn't have been because the Iran deal was broken. The sanctions were brought back on. But you're saying that no one was really enforcing them?
Well, on the part of the EU, they're still complying with the deal.
Right. Okay. So I got you.
So that's why they're still haven't placed sanctions.
So the European Union is still part of the Iran deal. However, U.S. backed out, and and basically the Iran deal is a nuclear agreement, and the United States is a part of that agreement, and Iran basically needs the United States to back off sanctions in order to have economy and be able to trade.
And that's why the Iranian government was still in compliance this entire time until recently in regards to not beginning the enrichment of their uranium, because the EU was still in the deal. That was enough incentive.
And we'll try to weave the web for you. So the EU is still complying with Iran. And the EU says, we're going to reduce sanctions. We're going to make sure that you can still trade and stuff like that. However, the United States tells EU, no, we actually don't want them to sell their oil to Syria. And we don't want them to send oil and make money off of that. So EU would rather listen to United States because it's like a majority of NATO, and it's also has huge trade partnerships with the United States versus Iran. So EU complied, took control of the ship that was going to sell oil on behalf of Iran, and basically to Syria. And basically now what's happening is this huge web results in President Rouhani saying that fuck all of you. We're literally just going to enrich uranium, and we're pretty much breaking faith on deal with the remaining partners, which is majority of the EU.
Correct. And to kind of like, weasel themselves out of it, the UN is not directly saying that, oh, it's because of the the oil coming from Iran.
Wait, UN is weaseling its way out of what exactly?
The rationale for why they seized this ship.
Right.
And their rationale.
Wait. EU seized the ship or UN?
No, the EU.
EU. Oh, you said the UN.
Sorry about that. My bad. So yes, it is the EU. Not the UN is not involved with this at all. They have no power, as we know.
Yeah. Yes.
So EU's rationale is that, oh, it's not because it's Iranian oil. The reason is because they're selling it to Syria, and we've had sanctions on Syria since 2011. But we're gonna call bullshit on that because they've never enforced those sanctions, and those sanctions were there since 2011. So obviously they're working on behalf of the United States. Yes, legally speaking, this should have been occurring, but it was never enforced. So this is just an excuse.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, this is just another spotlight for, action on behalf of Iran. And Iran has had enough. And the fear that was from the first few flashpoints of conflict where we had that UAV that flew over Iran, we have that Japanese, ship being blown up possibly by Iranian, representatives of their military. And also we had the issue with the classification of part of the Iranian military as a terrorist organization. What we recognize is that this is just a pile-on of more and more aggression that pretty much is either unnecessary or just intentionally to aggravate Iran. Like, why? So here's my theory.
This is the U.S. egging on them.
Yeah, here's my theory. I think the U.S. wants every way in which possible for Iran to hurt without actually attacking them. Because remember, Trump called off the attack on Iranian infrastructure when he had planes in the air. He talked to the Joint Chiefs in Command Ops and was like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to blow up and actually send missiles to Iran because that's,
He said it wasn't proportional.
It wasn't proportional. And now he's doing this kind of diplomatic death by 1,000 cuts where he's using regulatory frameworks and red tape to make it hard for Iran to exist, and which has been the kind of game since the 1960s with Iran, which is just make them hard for them to kind of be in the world stage.
Yeah, the whole point is just to annoy them so that they
diplomatically.
make a stupid mistake so the United States has an excuse to basically attack them.
I wouldn't say have them make a mistake.
Because the keyword is proportional. That's what troubled me the most. So like, even if
Again,
Iran
I
did
think
something.
I still hold true to the fact that Iran and US do not want to go to war, but like also they don't like each other. It's like kind of being that passive aggressive annoying where like you get one of them to concede and be like, all right, fine, I'll do what you want, and no fighting ever happens. That's kind of the goal for Iran and the United States. Iran pisses off the United States pisses off Iran, and there's a diplomatic relationship that goes back and forth where one person has to give in the relationship. And right now, none of that is happening. So the further escalation does scare us both.
I really want to say that you're on the right side of this, and I hope that's the case. But we have to remember there's a lot of people that are from the Bush administration who were directly involved with the whole Iraq invasion that are in this Trump administration today, and we have to know their intentions and their influences, and unfortunately it's very hawkish at the end of the day. That's how I
just want Scaramucci to talk to Iran and just be like, dude, who do you think you're dealing with? Who you talking to? This is Iran. We're the baddest motherfuckers out here, all right? Like, I want Scaramucci. I want the mooch.
Secretary of State mooch.
Yeah, Secretary of State mooch. Just talking to Iran. Who the fuck you think you're talking to, okay? You're going to be sucking my dick and sniffing my asshole come next year. You and Kim Jong-un, I swear to God, you don't know who you're talking to. You better stop this shit. I swear to God. I just want that. I just want that exchange.